So, Wynton Learson Marsalis is an American virtuoso, trumpeter, composer, teacher, and artistic director of jazz at Lincoln Center. He has promoted classical and jazz music often to young audiences. Marsalis has 9 Grammy Awards, and his Blood on the Fields was the first jazz composition to win the Pulitzer Prize for music. He is the only musician to win a Grammy Award for jazz and classical in the same year. Mantwa Chinoamadi is Joy of Jazz executive producer. She joins us now in the studio. So just reading all of that, I suppose it's a no-brainer to even ask you why you're having a Wynton Marsalis workshop.
Wow, yeah. The teacher in him, every time when he travels, he will actually say to everybody or the promoters, I want to do workshops more than any other things. You know, some artists visit our country or visit countries and they want to have dinners with the who and who's of the country, but, you know, 90% of his lineup is music workshops.
So he wants to give back. He wants to share the knowledge, the inspiration that has made him this amazing, and he really truly is a jazz virtuoso.
Yeah, he is. I think being a teacher, I want to see, I always say I see it in every teacher because, you know, even when you get him and there's music playing, if he doesn't know, he will ask questions about it. And if he knows, he will then teach you about the music.
And I mean, we started off with a quote by Louis Armstrong saying, if you don't know what jazz is. And for a lot of people, I think I know. For me, I'm a fan of contemporary jazz, but when I talk about people say, that boring thing, how can you listen to that thing? So for young people, it must first all be, who is this guy, for starters, and what is he trying to teach us?
You know, we have a program with him tomorrow called Jazz for Young People. He actually said, I want the youngest, from 12 years old, once they have a listening on this music, if you teach them younger, they are bound to, you know, to be jazz lovers or jazz musicians themselves. So it is a difficult genre of music, and I think in all the years it's always been exclusive. Now it's about time it becomes inclusive. You invite all kids or everybody that's a music lover to come and listen, and I bet you when they leave there, they're all jazz fans.
And I mean, for South Africa, we have in fact, you'll often hear that this is South African jazz. We bring something into the genre that is so distinctively South African.
Wynton is performing South African Songbook on Friday because we have the jazz. And for him to go and revisit our legends' music, I mean, music from Brajonas's Amaxhoseni, for him to say, I want to play this, it's because there's something in it.
Mr. Mankuku has even been somebody that American jazz musicians particularly have studied and have copied his works.
They have studied a lot of them. Abdullah Ibrahim, Johnny Diani, Brahu. Exactly.
So just tell us about the collection of singers that you've got. You've brought out quite a few well-known musicians. And I think the theme this year is South African, isn't it? It's about celebrating our heritage in jazz.
Definitely. You know, you would see that we have brought in a lot of young musicians that are singers and instrumentalists. Nomfundo Kaluva, Zoe Mudicha, Tebogosi Dumedi. You know, Gloria will be performing for the Standard Bank Young Artists Award winners. Melanie Sbongile is there. So there is a lot of female content in the lineup.
And I think you were even celebrating Sbongile Khumalo, Gloria Bosman, Yvonne Chaka Chaka for their role, their contribution to not only the festival but to South African music.
Yes, in the past year we had jazz honors, even this year, and we celebrate, you know, whomever has contributed to the music itself, you know, or the theater. It could be theater or arts. So we celebrated, for instance, Sam Mangwani, who has contributed to the music in South Africa, as Piwe Mhlambi, a photographer who's dedicated all his work to, you know, taking pictures of musicians.
In fact, we had them in the studio to talk about that when you gave them the award. So then let's look at the American artists that you're bringing in. Who are we salivating over at the Joy of Jazz Festival this weekend?
We have Ken Peplowski, Wynton Marsalis, of course, with Jazz at Lincoln Center. Then we have, for the younger people, people always say, why do you have an R&B singer in a jazz festival? But we say, if we want to develop that audience to come back to the festival, you first give them a teaser. We have Rashan Peterson coming to perform. And we have Eduke Bom from Ghana. We don't only have musicians from America, but, in Africa too. Eduke Bom from Nigeria, Kekeku from Ghana. And Moreira is coming back again from Mozambique. We have Manukache from France, Roberto Fonseca from Cuba. So
just take us then through the festival, then how it's going to play out, the layout of all of that bevy of artists that you have.
We have 4 stages, and all 4 stages will have 4 musicians or 4 acts performing at the same time. So, the choice is very, very wide.
That's always just been the conflict when you're there. You divide your time between stages.
You know what I always tell people? Because these artists, most of the time, they perform for 2 days. On the Friday, go and see somebody, and then on the Saturday, go and see somebody. Then, by the end of the festival, you would have ticked all those boxes.
Okay, so the main stages, Friday and Saturday, who are we going to see?
Main stage is Friday and Saturday. Sibongile Khumalo, Stimela, Don Laka, Moreira, and the other guys from that I've just mentioned from Africa, and Roberto, RJ Benjamin, Nokukanya Dlamini. Oh my goodness, come on. Then there's a concept called Jazz Unity. 2 ladies from America, La Fresky and Lakeisha Benjamin, with Nomfundo, Zoe, and Dumedi.
Okay, let's review the concert itself. I mean, you've had big names from the music scene in its entirety grace the stages, and you've picked up a following. I think every year it's on people's diaries, especially lovers of music and not necessarily jazz.
Jazz, yeah.
Take us through the journey, how you've grown, how do you feel about it? Is it going where you've wanted it to go?
I think we're growing as a brand, and we wouldn't be what we are if we actually didn't have those music lovers and fans, coming to us all the time and say, you know what, I have a CD of so-and-so, I'd love to see them on stage. We have so many people recommending the lineup, and we try our level best to say, okay, let's try this one. We have got people that are, jazz appreciators that rise to us and say, listen, for next year or year after, can we have so-and-so? So as a brand, I want to believe that we are growing, and it's exciting times where you see even younger jazz musicians coming into the scene.
And do they say, I want to, because I know I've heard some of them say, I want to do Joy of Jazz next year. Do you get some of these artists from outside of South Africa, whether it be on the continent or abroad, who say, I actually want to be part of?
Of course. Every day we get that email, we get that text, we get that phone call that so-and-so recommended me, told me they were in Africa, I want to come back, I want to come home. So we have a lot of those, and some of them really we have brought them to stage and perform at the festival.
And the negotiations, how difficult are they? I mean, there's always this view that these are untouchables. You've got to go through hoops to get some of these big name artists. Then they don't want to perform. What is like just the grind behind that fine print?
We've got Africa, man. We are a tourist country, and I think every artist who wants to explore and tour, Africa is the first place you think of, and South Africa has always been welcoming.
Has that draw card.
And then you have a brand that is known globally. It makes it easier. It makes negotiations we don't really start from, I am Mantwa Chinoamadi from the Joy of Jazz. I'm saying, hi, greetings from the Joy of Jazz, and there's an interest.
Okay, so plans for the festival going forward?
Wow, we are waiting for those doors to open. We are ready. For 9 months we've been planning this, and we just want people to come and enjoy the music, and let's unleash the jazz together.
Okay, so let's talk about ticket sales. Is it up to capacity? Can people still buy tickets? Where do they get them?
When I left the office this afternoon, we could be sold out on the opening night when Wynton and Jazz at Lincoln Center performs with the Marcus Wyatt and Zar Orchestra. We call it Battle of the Big Bands, where they will be performing simultaneously, the first ever to be done in the world. So if you don't want to miss this experience, definitely people have to just go and try and see if they can get tickets.
To CompuTicket.
Yes.
And that's starting this Friday up until Saturday.
We're starting on Thursday until Saturday.
Thank you so much, and all the best. Looking forward to it. Mantwa Chinoamadi is a Joy of Jazz executive producer. That, as you heard, it starts this weekend. So do join us for that here on The Full View. But first, let's take a quick break.